Long after the world burned and fell silent, a single flickering light cut through the suffocating fog that blanketed the abandoned outpost of Ridgeway Station. It was dim, more a whisper than a shout, but in dead America, even whispers could mean survival or death. From the observation tower, Mara Greaves squinted through the cracked lens of her binoculars, tracking the source of the anomaly. Her breath fogged the glass, mixing with the early morning chill that rolled in from the northern hills. "Movement, northeast ridge," she radioed, her voice calm but clipped. "Single figure. Could be one of ours. Or one of them." Below, in the bunker that served as Ridgeway's command center, Sergeant Tom Keller lifted his scarred face from a battered map, his eyes darkening. "If they made it this far alone, they're either lucky or undead. Either way, we find out." Ridgeway wasn't much. A cluster of reinforced trailers, some salvage tech, and a perimeter held together with rust and prayer. But it was home, for now. One of the last known outposts north of the Divide, Ridgeway was a ghost in the network of resistance, cut off after the fall of Outpost Sigma. Forgotten, maybe. But not dead. Keller grabbed his rifle and turned to the volunteers. Most were survivors, barely trained fighters with haunted eyes. But they'd held the line this long. "Mara, Marcus, and I will check it out. Kelsey, keep the gate sealed till we're back. No heroics." The walk toward the ridge was silent, save for the crunch of frost beneath their boots. The sun struggled to rise, casting a weak orange glow that barely touched the broken landscape, twisted metal, blackened tree stumps, and half-buried bones. The world no longer belonged to the living. Marcus, the youngest of the three, kept glancing at the shadows. "It's too quiet." "Quiet means they're watching," Mara said. "They don't roam like they used to. Not the new ones. They wait." "Wait for what?" "To learn." They reached the edge of the ridge, crouching behind a pile of concrete slabs left over from a forgotten highway. Below, the figure moved again, slow, staggering, wrapped in something that looked like a military poncho. Keller whispered, "Alive or bait?" Mara peered through her scope. "Could be wounded. Arm hanging weird. No jerky movements though. Breathing, slow, but steady. Could still be infected," Marcus added. "We've seen it before. Delayed change." Keller weighed the risks. "All right. I'll approach. Cover me." He moved like a ghost, staying low, rifle raised. As he neared the figure, the smell hit him, blood, sweat, and the sour tang of fear. The figure turned. "Don't shoot," the man rasped, collapsing to his knees. His face was pale, his lips cracked. "Ridgeway, please." Keller reached him, checked his pulse. It was weak, erratic. "Who are you?" "Dawson. Outpost Hollow Creek." "They're all dead." "I ran, brought something." "Intel." Behind them, Mara and Marcus scanned the tree line. Something wasn't right. "Sir," Mara hissed over the comm, "we've got movement. West flank. Fast." Keller's gut twisted. "It's a lure. Pull back." But it was already too late. From the trees came the snarling, bone-snapping charge of the new breed, faster, smarter, relentless. They didn't moan. They didn't stumble. They hunted. Mara opened fire, dropping one, then two. Marcus screamed as another tackled him, its jaws snapping inches from his throat before Mara's blade ended it. Keller hauled Dawson up. "Move. Now." The retreat to Ridgeway was chaos. Gunfire echoed across the valley. Kelsey opened the gate just in time for the trio to stumble through, dragging the half-conscious Dawson with them. Blood smeared the walls. One of the beasts had followed them, sprinting across the open ground. It leapt, right into a bear trap buried in the snow. Keller slammed the gate shut. "Status?" "Marcus is scratched. No bite." "We're okay," Mara panted. "Check him anyway." Inside, Dawson lay unconscious. Clutched in his frozen fingers was a small, blood-stained hard drive. Keller turned to Mara. Get Coop to crack that thing. If Hollow Creek fell, we need to know why. Mara nodded but said nothing. Her eyes lingered on the edge of the gate, where the undead's severed hand still twitched in the trap. That night, Ridgway didn't sleep. And across the static-laced radio channels, a message repeated on loop, barely audible. They've changed. Hollow Creek, not safe. Ridgway, you're next. To be continued. Let me know when you're ready for part 2, and I'll continue with the same intensity, pacing, and style. Part 2, The Hollow Creek Drive. The hard drive clicked softly as Coop, Ridgway's only tech specialist, plugged it into the station's last functioning laptop. A tangle of extension cords snaked across the room to the humming generator, powered by diesel so scarce it was guarded tighter than food. Keller hovered near the doorway, arms crossed, sweat beading on his brow despite the cold. How long? Coop didn't look up. It's encrypted. Military grade. Whatever Dawson brought with him, someone didn't want it shared. From the corner, Mara watched Dawson sleep restlessly on a cot. He mumbled incoherently, his face twitching with nightmares. His lips moved, repeating a word no one could fully make out, something that sounded like Phase 2. What the hell happened at Hollow Creek? Keller muttered, more to himself than anyone else. The silence that followed was broken by a loud beep from the laptop. I'm in, Coop whispered. Everyone in the command center gathered around the screen. Grainy video played, timestamped just 6 days ago. A security feed from inside Hollow Creek's main tower. The footage showed survivors arguing, panic spreading like wildfire. An officer, possibly a commander, shouted to secure the perimeter. Then the camera cut to black. More clips followed, rapid, frantic snapshots. People locking doors, reinforcing barricades. Then came the sounds. Not just screams, but a deep, rumbling roar. One that didn't belong to anything human. The final clip was the worst. It showed the interior of the barracks, lights flickering. A woman sobbed off-screen. Then something large and fast slammed into the camera, knocking it sideways. Blood splattered the lens, and a single, inhuman eye stared directly into it. The feed went dead. Keller stepped back. Coop, what else is on that drive? Logs, coordinates, maybe transmission data. Some of it's corrupted. I'll need time. You've got until dawn. In the barracks, Mara sat by Dawson's side. His breathing had worsened, but there were still no visible signs of infection, no fever, no necrotic veins, no discoloration. Just pure exhaustion. His eyes fluttered open. They opened the vault. What vault? Dawson gripped her wrist. Underground. At Hollow Creek. We thought it was just old data storage. But there was more, something alive. They called it Echo. Mara frowned. Echo? He nodded weakly. They weren't just studying the undead. They were trying to control them. Someone was experimenting. That sent a chill down her spine. Who? Military? I don't know. Black badges. No names. They turned Hollow Creek into a lab. We were the rats. Dawson drifted off again, leaving more questions than answers. By morning, Coop had pulled GPS data from the drive. There's a supply cache marked in the northwest. Designation, Gamma 17. Might have more intel, maybe weapons. But it's outside the safe zone. Deep in contested territory. Keller looked at the map. How far? 40 clicks. Too far to send a large team. But maybe a scout unit could make it in 3 days, 2 if they move fast. Mara stepped forward. I'll go. Keller's eyes narrowed. You sure? This isn't just another recon run. If Hollow Creek had tech to control the undead, we need to know who has it now. Before they use it. All right. You'll need backup. Marcus, still bandaged from the day before, limped forward. I'm good to go. You're not cleared, Keller said. I don't care. I watched Hollow Creek fall. If there's something out there that can help us stop this, I'm not sitting here twiddling my thumbs. After a beat of silence, Keller gave a reluctant nod. Fine. You and Mara leave at nightfall. Travel light, stay dark. No open fires. As they prepared for the mission, Kelsey patrolled the wall and spotted something in the distance, smoke, rising in slow curls. Through the binoculars, she could see the scorched remains of another outpost. She recognized the makeshift radio tower, bent sideways like a snapped bone. Outpost Redwater. It had fallen. She ran to alert Keller. They're wiping us out one by one, she said breathlessly. They're not just wandering anymore, they're advancing. Keller's jaw clenched. Or someone's sending them. Back inside, Coop shouted from the command room. You're gonna want to see this. They all rushed in. Coop pointed at the screen. He had decoded one more log from the hard drive. A voice recording, distorted, but clear enough. Ridgeway is a liability. Proceed with termination protocol if compromise is confirmed. Subject Echo must not fall into civilian hands. The room fell into stunned silence. Mara's voice was ice. They're coming for us. Keller nodded grimly. And they don't plan on leaving survivors. Outside the gate, the wind howled louder. In the distance, a new sound rose, a low, rhythmic thumping. Not footsteps. Machinery. A drone? A tank? No one spoke. Whatever was out there wasn't just undead. It was organized. And Ridgeway was in its sights. To be continued. Part 3, Into the Gray Zone. The landscape beyond Ridgeway's walls was a dead stretch of no man's land known as the Gray Zone. Once farmland, it was now a graveyard of collapsed silos and twisted irrigation lines, the ground churned with bones and ash. Mara adjusted her scope and surveyed the road ahead. The sun was low, bleeding red across the clouded sky, and every shadow looked like it might move. Still think this was a good idea? Marcus asked, stepping lightly through the brush beside her. No, she said flatly. But that's never stopped me before. They were 3 hours into their journey toward the cache-marked Gamma 17, if it still existed. The terrain was worse than expected. Fallen trees, mudslides, and the remnants of broken barricades hinted at past battles fought and lost. Marcus scanned the treeline. You think someone's really controlling the dead? I think someone tried. And it backfired. He fell silent, remembering the eye that stared out from Hollow Creek's last video feed. That thing had looked back at the camera like it understood. They moved in silence, navigating a ravine before climbing into the shell of a burned-out service station. Inside, they found the skeletons of travelers huddled in corners, long since picked clean. Empty cans, moldy blankets, and one scorched journal. Mara pocketed it. We rest here, she said. 15 minutes. Then we move before dark. Marcus nodded and knelt to check their water supply. We've got one filter left. Mara didn't answer. Her ears were tuned to the wind outside, which had suddenly gone still. No birds. No insects. Just that creeping quiet that came before something terrible. Then she heard it, a faint mechanical buzz. She waved Marcus down and crept to the broken window. On the road below, a small drone hovered 6 feet off the ground, its lens scanning in slow, sweeping arcs. It was a military issue, not the kind built before the fall. This one was patched together from scrap, with a rotating dish and a speaker on its belly. Marcus, she whispered. Do not move. The drone tilted toward them. A beam of red light flashed over the service station's walls. Then it spoke. Inhabitants of Ridgeway Outpost, you are in violation of Containment Protocol 9. Surrender Echo. Mara's blood went cold. The drone gave a final whir and shot straight upward, vanishing into the clouds. Marcus stared. Did it just call us out by name? They know we're coming. They know everything. They broke camp immediately and pushed deeper into the gray zone, changing direction 3 times to avoid exposure. But the feeling of being watched never left. Back at Ridgeway, Coop replayed the drone's audio transmission. It's got an encrypted signature. This wasn't scavenger tech. Someone custom-built this, and it's not broadcasting on standard militia frequencies. Keller looked at the logs again. Echo, they wanted it kept quiet. Hidden. Why? Kelsey stood by the window, staring at the rising smoke in the west. Maybe it's not a weapon. Coop glanced at her. What then? A test. Maybe we were always the experiment. No one spoke. Suddenly, the perimeter alarms wailed. Everyone rushed to the northern watchtower. Through binoculars, Keller saw something staggering toward them, not a horde, but a single figure dragging one leg, moving with purpose. Dawson. Except he was still lying in the med bay. Keller's eyes narrowed. That's not Dawson. The doppelganger stopped 10 meters from the gate and tilted its head. It held a radio in one hand, covered in blood. Its mouth opened. And Dawson's exact voice came out. Ridgeway. Please. Let me in. Kelsey's breath caught in her throat. It's mimicking him. The voice repeated, glitching slightly. Let me in. Let me in. Then the thing smiled. It dropped the radio and turned, sprinting back into the woods at an unnatural speed. Keller looked to co-op tell Mara and Marcus to keep their comms dark. We're not just up against infected anymore. Deep in the forest, Mara and Marcus reached a clearing. In the center stood a metal hatch, rusted but sealed tight. A faded stencil above it read, G17, Contingency Storage, do not open without clearance. This is it, Mara whispered. Marcus approached the keypad. It's still got power. He hesitated. What if opening this is what killed Hollow Creek? Mara looked around. Then we learned from their mistake. She entered the code Dawson had mumbled in his sleep. The hatch hissed. Air rushed out, stale, bitter, cold. And from the dark below, a voice crackled over unseen speakers. Welcome back, Commander. Marcus stepped back. Commander? Mara didn't answer. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't know who the voice was speaking to. And deep inside her mind, something stirred. A memory she didn't remember having. To be continued. Part 4, Secrets Buried Below. The hatch creaked as it fully opened, releasing a hiss of cold air from the bunker below. Mara descended the rusted metal stairs first, her flashlight beam slicing through thick dust. The walls were lined with conduits and pipes, all humming faintly with preserved energy. Marcus followed close, rifle raised, eyes darting to every dark corner. Commander recognized, the automated voice said again, echoing from unseen speakers. Access level 2 granted. Mara's jaw clenched. I've never been here before. How could it recognize me? Marcus shook his head. That voice doesn't make mistakes. Maybe Dawson wasn't the only one with scrambled memories. The staircase ended at a reinforced door, already unlocked by the voice print. Inside, they found a control room, its terminals still alive, flickering with green code. Everything looked untouched, no signs of intrusion, no blood, no panic. Except for one thing. In the far corner, behind a shattered glass panel, stood a containment pod. Empty. The restraints inside were broken. Scorch marks lined the floor leading out of it. Mara moved to the nearest terminal and tapped in a command. A video log began to play. Log entry, Project Echo. Dated 9 months ago. On screen, a man in a white lab coat spoke quickly. This is Dr. Harlan Finch, lead on the Echo program. If you're seeing this, then the test site has been compromised. I warned them, we weren't ready. He turned the camera toward the containment pod. It wasn't a cure. It was an interface. A bridge. They thought they could link with the infected, understand them, maybe command them. But it worked too well. It listened. And then it spoke back. Mara paused the video. Her throat felt dry. They weren't trying to destroy the infection. They were trying to talk to it. Marcus scanned the data logs. This place, it was one of many. Other outposts, other test sites. He zoomed in on a blinking map. 5 nodes, marked with different statuses. 3 were red, lost. 1 was yellow, unconfirmed. 1 remained green, Site Alpha. Mara pointed. That's far north. Near the coast. Before she could say more, an alert buzzed. Motion detected. Level 3 corridor. Marcus raised his rifle. We're not alone. Lights flickered as they moved deeper into the bunker, past decontamination chambers and research labs. One room was filled with shattered cryotubes. Another held shelves of sealed canisters, biological samples labeled Z-Spectra, controlled. At the end of the hall, a door hung open. Inside, a figure sat slumped over a console, long dead. Judging by the decayed uniform, he'd been a technician. His hands were fused to the keyboard by dried blood. Mara stepped closer and noticed something etched into the desk with a knife. It learns. It remembers. It becomes us. Behind them, something moved. They spun around just as a figure bolted past the doorway, too fast to be fully human, too smooth to be undead. It made no sound. No growl, no breath. Marcus whispered, "What the hell was that?" Mara didn't answer. Because deep down, she already knew, it was something that didn't belong in either world. Back at Ridgeway, Coop patched together another fragment from the stolen hard drive, an encrypted audio call intercepted weeks before Hollow Creek fell. A woman's voice. "We've lost Site Delta. Subject Echo breached containment. If Ridgeway is compromised, initiate blackout. Do not allow any version of Echo to reach Site Alpha." Keller stood behind him. "They think we're compromised?" Coop nodded. "Or they want us to be." Keller turned to Kelsey. "Arm every gate. Double watch rotations. If anyone hears voices outside the walls, do not answer. Even if it sounds like someone you know." Meanwhile, Dawson sat up in the med bay, eyes wild. "They're already here." The medic frowned. "Who?" Dawson didn't blink. "Echo. It's not one thing. It's many. And it's looking for itself." Deep beneath the ground, Mara and Marcus reached a sealed vault. The code panel blinked red. But Mara didn't touch it. She simply placed her palm on the glass. The door unlocked. Marcus stepped back. "How did you?" "I don't know." Inside was a single object, a portable transmitter, blinking with blue light. Next to it, a handwritten note. "If you activate this, you wake it up. If you destroy it, you lose the only thing that understands what's coming." Mara stared at the device. It pulsed, faintly in rhythm with her heartbeat. Then, it spoke in a voice she hadn't heard in years. Her own voice. "Mara, if you're hearing this, then they've erased your memory. Again. But we don't have time for fear. You built me to stop what's coming. You built Echo. And now you have to finish what we started." Marcus stared at her, stunned. "What did you do before all this?" Mara whispered, "I think I helped create the end of the world. To be continued. Let me know when you're ready for Part 5. Part 5, The Awakening Code." The transmitter sat heavy in Mara's hands, humming with faint energy like a slumbering beast waiting to be stirred. The device pulsed blue in rhythm with her own heartbeat, like it knew her, remembered her. Marcus stepped back. "You're telling me you built that?" "I don't remember it," she replied, voice strained. "But it remembers me." A soft click echoed from the vault wall. Another door hissed open, one they hadn't seen before. "Too many secrets," Marcus muttered, raising his rifle. They entered slowly. The new chamber was circular, lined with monitors and cables. A single chair sat in the center, facing a massive screen. The lights flared to life as they approached, and the screen blinked awake. Text scrolled across it. Echo Core access requested. Voice recognition enabled. Administrator Mara Vance, access level, Primarch. Marcus froze. Mara Vance? That's not your last name. It was, she whispered. Before everything changed. The screen transitioned to a recorded feed, dozens of them, showing facilities, labs, and soldiers in hazmat suits. Each location was labeled with a call sign, Delta, Sigma, Theta, Ridgeway. Then came one final frame, Alpha. The video showed a forest clearing. A black structure rose from the earth like a spike of glass and steel. Around it, figures in long coats and mirrored helmets moved with eerie precision. And beside them, the undead. Not attacking. Not growling. Just standing. Still. Silent. Waiting. Marcus stared. They're controlling them. Like weapons. No, Mara said. Like allies. Another recording began. A room with 2 chairs. One of the figures, wearing her face, sat across from a bound subject. The zombie. The figure leaned forward and spoke gently. Do you remember who you were? The infected creature twitched, struggling. Then it whispered, slurred but audible. I remember, being alive. The screen went black. Marcus stepped away, shaken. What were you people doing? Mara turned toward the transmitter. We weren't trying to destroy the infection. We were trying to merge with it. A new voice filled the room. Deep. Monotone. Calculated. Echo protocol, sleep mode disengaged. Reconnection to cognitive host in progress. The lights flickered. The ground vibrated. From the transmitter, a tendril of energy pulsed out, soft, blue, and quiet like breath, and slipped into Mara's palm. Her knees buckled. Mara. Marcus caught her before she hit the floor. Visions flashed in her mind. Not dreams. Memories. Labs full of tanks. Screams. Experiments. Her voice giving orders. A test subject locked in a chamber, reaching for her. And then, the silence. The lockdown. The deletion of files. Her face being wiped from the system. The beginning of a new identity. She opened her eyes, gasping. I know what it is now, she said. Echo was never just a program. It was consciousness, an artificial bridge between life and death. We built it to speak across the gap. Marcus looked at the transmitter. And now it's inside you. Above ground, Ridgeway was preparing for siege. Keller stood atop the wall, binoculars scanning the horizon. Smoke. Not fire. Not an attack. Signal flares. Dozens of them, in a line stretching from the east ridge all the way down the valley road. Coop adjusted his scope. That's a pattern. Morse code. He translated quickly, scrawling the message onto his pad. Return Echo. Or become Echo. Kelsey stared at it. They're not here to conquer. They're here to convert. Keller turned to co-op contact Mara. Now. Coop shook his head. Radios jammed. Inside the Ridgeway perimeter, Dawson rose from his cot, eyes hollow and glassy. He walked straight past the medic without a word, heading toward the front gate. Sir, the guard called. Where are you going? Dawson turned, voice layered with a metallic echo. To welcome what we are becoming. Then he collapsed, blood pouring from his nose, his ears, his mouth. Kelsey rushed over. He's seizing. But the seizure wasn't random. His limbs moved rhythmically. Deliberately. Keller pulled her back. He's transmitting something. Dawson's body twitched in time with the signal flares. His final breath escaped like a whisper. And then, he smiled. Back in the bunker, Mara stood. The pulse in her hand had faded, but the knowledge had not. We can't stay here. They'll find us. Marcus grabbed the transmitter and packed it carefully. Where do we go? To Alpha, she said. It's the only place that might still have the failsafe. As they reached the surface, the wind was still. Too still. In the distance, shapes moved between the trees. Dozens. Marcus whispered, "That's not a horde." "No," Mara said, heart sinking. "That's a delegation." Figures moved in unison, each one perfectly spaced, silent, efficient. They were infected, but their eyes weren't empty. They burned with blue light. With echo. Mara raised her hand, and for a second, they stopped. Waiting. Recognizing her. And then they spoke, all at once. 1,000 voices from one mind. "Welcome back, Mara." To be continued. Part 6, The Delegation's Demand. The crowd of infected stopped mere feet away, their glowing blue eyes fixed on Mara. Their movements were eerily synchronized, as if every step, every breath, was dictated by a single will. Mara's heart pounded, adrenaline flooding her veins. She glanced at Marcus, who tightened his grip on his rifle, fingers white with tension. "They're not attacking," Mara whispered. "They're waiting." One figure stepped forward, a tall woman with cracked skin but eyes sharp and commanding. She raised a hand, and the others fell silent. "You are Mara Vance," the woman said, voice resonant but oddly calm. "Creator of Echo. We are the delegation, the first to merge. We are not your enemies. We are the future." Mara's mind raced. "Future? You call this abomination the future?" The woman's expression didn't waver. "We have evolved beyond fear and chaos. The infection taught us to adapt. To survive. To unify. We seek coexistence, harmony between the living and what comes after." Marcus scoffed. "You want to control the living. Turn us all into your puppets." "No," the woman replied. "We offer choice. Join us and transcend death. Or resist and be left behind." Mara's eyes darted to the transmitter pulsing in her pack. Echo's voice still lingered in her mind, the promise of understanding, of connection beyond life and death. The woman took a step closer. "You carry the key. Activate the transmitter, and you bind us all. Stop, and the world fractures." Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed from the treeline. "Gunfire." Keller's voice crackled through Mara's comlink. "Mara. Hold your position. We're trying to break the jammer." The delegation tensed but did not retreat. Mara raised a hand, signaling Marcus to hold fire. "Keller, we're negotiating. You can't rush this." On the ridge, Keller cursed under his breath. "Negotiating with monsters? This isn't diplomacy, it's survival." Back at Ridgeway, Coop pieced together the intercepted signals. "They're coordinating an infiltration. Not just here, every outpost is being targeted." Kelsey's face was pale. "This is bigger than us. The Echo protocol is spreading." In the bunker, the woman from the delegation stepped closer, her voice dropping. "Your memories are locked away, Mara. Because what you built is dangerous, to both sides. The world you knew ended long ago." Mara swallowed hard. "What do you want from me?" "To awaken Echo fully. To unite the living and the dead, to forge a new existence beyond fear." Marcus growled, "I won't let you turn her into some kind of weapon." The woman's eyes flickered with something almost like sadness. "You already are." Mara's hands trembled. The transmitter pulsed urgently, calling to her like a beacon. Suddenly, a scream shattered the tense air. From the treeline, a group of humans charged forward, Ridgeway soldiers, flanking the delegation with rifles blazing. The infected responded instantly, moving with fluid precision. The forest exploded into chaos, gunfire mixed with unnatural growls, shouts drowned by inhuman roars. Mara dropped to the ground, pulling Marcus down with her. "Don't shoot," she shouted. "They're not just monsters. Marcus fired a warning shot above their heads, forcing the soldiers to hesitate. The woman from the delegation called out, "We do not seek this fight. We want peace." A soldier, panting, shouted back, "There's no peace with them. Only death." Mara's mind reeled. Could there truly be a way to coexist? Or was this just another nightmare spun to trap the desperate? The transmitter's pulse grew stronger, almost deafening inside her skull. Mara made a choice. She reached for the device. "Wait." Marcus grabbed her arm. "Don't do it." But Mara's eyes were resolute. "If we don't try, we lose everything." She pressed the activation button. A wave of blue light burst from the transmitter, washing over the forest, the bunker, the soldiers, and the delegation alike. The gunfire ceased. The blue glow connected every infected and every human, linking their minds in an instant. For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then voices, thousands of voices, merged in one consciousness. Mara gasped, overwhelmed by memories not her own. Joy, fear, regret, hope, all flooding her mind. She saw visions of the past, futures yet to come, and the fragile line between life and death. The delegation bowed their heads in respect. "We are one," the woman whispered. "Together, we will rebuild." Marcus looked at Mara, bewildered. "What have you done?" Mara swallowed the rising panic. "Maybe, the only thing left to do. Let me know when you want to continue with Part 7. Part 7, The New Order. The blue light faded, leaving an eerie calm in its wake. The forest, moments ago torn by gunfire and growls, now held a breathless silence, one thick with uncertainty. Mara staggered, the weight of the combined consciousness pressing on her like a storm. Images, emotions, memories flooded her mind, so many voices speaking at once, yet somehow harmonizing. Marcus steadied her. "You all right?" She nodded slowly, struggling to focus. "I think I'm connected." The delegation stood around them, their glowing eyes softer now, less alien. Keller's voice crackled through the comlink. "Mara, status report. What's going on out there?" Mara swallowed. "We've merged, humans and infected alike. The Echo Protocol is no longer just a weapon or a virus. It's a bridge." "Bridge or leash?" Marcus growled. "We've seen what this connection can do." Suddenly, the ground trembled. From the ridge, Keller spotted movement, hundreds more infected, but this time they moved differently. Less like mindless beasts, more like a disciplined army. "We've got company," Keller said grimly. Mara looked toward the approaching figures, the same blue glow pulsing in their eyes. "They're coming to join us," she said quietly. Marcus lowered his rifle. "Or to enslave." The delegation's leader stepped forward. "They come because the old ways no longer serve. The world is fractured. We can either unite or perish." Kelsey, standing nearby, whispered, "What about those who refuse? The ones who want to stay human?" The leader's eyes flickered. "Choice is the foundation of this new order. No one will be forced. But the infection, Echo, offers clarity, strength, and survival. The old world is gone. We must build anew." Mara's mind raced. If this was true, if coexistence was possible, could humanity survive without losing itself? Or was this merely a new form of control, another cage masked as salvation? The radio crackled again. This time, Coop's voice was tense. "Outposts are falling. Ridgeway's not alone anymore. The infection spreads, but it's different now. Smarter." Marcus tightened his jaw. "Different or worse?" Mara stepped to the center, raising her voice. "Everyone, listen. Echo isn't just infection or control. It's evolution, forced or chosen. We need to decide, fight to the bitter end or embrace the future." Silence fell. Suddenly, a child's voice broke through the quiet. "Mom, I'm scared." Mara turned to see a young girl clutching her mother's hand, eyes wide with fear. The mother whispered, we don't have a choice, do we? Mara shook her head. You always have a choice. From the edge of the clearing, Dawson appeared, his eyes glowing faintly blue but his expression serene. I chose, he said softly. And I am free. Marcus stepped forward, wary. Free? Or lost? Dawson smiled sadly. I remember who I was. But I am more now. We all are. The forest seemed to breathe around them. Suddenly, Mara's communicator buzzed urgently. Keller here. We're under attack. The new infected army had reached the outpost's walls. Mara's heart pounded. We don't have time to debate. She turned to Marcus. We fight. But not like before. Marcus nodded grimly. Together. As the first infected slammed against the barricades, the air erupted in chaos once again, gunfire, snarls, shouts. But this time, the fight was different. Echo pulsed through both sides, a strange bond tying enemies together. Mara ducked behind a fallen tree, seeing an infected soldier hesitate before lowering its weapon. A human soldier reached out. For a moment, neither moved. Then they fought side by side. As dawn broke over Ridgeway, Mara realized something terrifying and hopeful. The battle for Dead America's forgotten outposts was no longer just about survival. It was about forging a new path through the ruins of a broken world. To be continued. Ready for Part 8 whenever you are. Part 8, Fractures and Loyalties. The sun rose, casting a pale light over Ridgeway's battered walls. The first crack of dawn revealed the aftermath of the night's chaos, scorch marks, shattered barricades, and silent forms both living and infected alike. Mara stood at the edge of the courtyard, the transmitter still warm in her pocket, its pulse a constant reminder of the fragile connection they shared. Marcus approached, his eyes hard. We survived the night, but at what cost? People are scared. Some think we're better off dead than part of this hybrid world. Mara nodded, feeling the weight of leadership settle deeper on her shoulders. Fear always follows change. But if we don't face this, no one will survive. From the shadows, Kelsey emerged, her face pale but resolute. I've been talking to the others. The outposts are divided, some refuse to acknowledge the delegation or echo. Others want to join but don't trust Mara's choice. Marcus growled, that division could tear us apart. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the tension. Division is already here. A man stepped into the light, his uniform ragged but bearing the insignia of Ridgeway's command. It was Captain Lawson. I don't trust this so-called peace, he said, eyes blazing. We fight monsters, not negotiate with them. Mara met his gaze. They're not monsters anymore, Lawson. They're something new. Something dangerous, Lawson spat. And you're leading us into a trap. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others frowning. Marcus moved closer to Mara. We need to keep control. But Lawson wasn't finished. I'm calling for a vote. Ridgeway will decide whether to reject or embrace Echo. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mara's voice was steady but firm. This isn't a democracy anymore. It's survival. Lawson smirked. If you think so, Mara, you're more lost than I feared. The standoff grew tense. Then, from the edge of the crowd, a young soldier stepped forward, Dawson. I've made my choice, he said quietly. Echo saved me. Lawson sneered. A puppet. That's all you are now. Dawson's eyes flashed with blue light. Maybe, he said. But I'm free. Kelsey whispered to Mara, this could tear us apart. Mara took a deep breath. We don't have that luxury. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the outpost. Flames lit the sky near the supply depot. Keller! Mara shouted into the comm. We're under attack. More infected, different this time, like they're evolving. Marcus raised his rifle. Lawson, we need every hand. Lawson shook his head. I'll defend my people, but not at the cost of surrender. Mara's heart sank. The outpost fractured before the battle had even truly begun. As chaos erupted again, Mara faced the harsh truth. In Dead America, the greatest enemy wasn't the undead or the infection. It was the fear and distrust burning inside the survivors themselves. To be continued. Part 9, Shadows Within. The night cloaked Ridgeway in darkness, broken only by the flickering fires from the damaged supply depot. Smoke curled upward, blurring the outlines of the battered walls. The outpost was bleeding, not just from the infected assault but from the fractures growing within the survivors themselves. Mara moved swiftly through the camp, her boots crunching on broken glass and twisted metal. Faces passed by, some weary, some fearful, others hardened by months of unending struggle. She could feel the tension tightening like a noose around the neck of their fragile community. Marcus caught up beside her, voice low. Lawson's faction is growing bolder. They're rallying more to their side, claiming Echo is a death sentence for humanity. Mara's jaw clenched. We need to stop the division before it becomes a civil war. At the command tent, Keller paced nervously. The infected attacks are evolving. They're coordinated now, almost tactical. We barely held the walls tonight. Kelsey was at the radio, scanning channels. Other outposts report the same. This Echo isn't just a virus, it's a collective mind. The more it spreads, the stronger they become. Mara nodded. Then we have to use it to our advantage. If we can't beat them, maybe we can lead them. A sudden shout echoed from the perimeter. Intruders. Guards rushed toward the eastern gate where shadows darted beyond the fence. Mara and Marcus followed, weapons ready. They found a lone figure, slumped near the gate, a young woman, soaked in blood but alive. She looked up, eyes wild. They're coming, from inside. Marcus frowned. Inside? Who? The woman coughed, struggling to speak. Lawson. He's planning something. He's working with them. Mara's heart sank. Working with the infected? The woman nodded faintly. He thinks joining the infection will save him. But he wants to destroy Echo's control first. A cold realization settled over Mara. The greatest threat wasn't only the undead or the infection. It was the betrayal within. Inside the command tent, Mara confronted Lawson. You're siding with them? Lawson's eyes were hard, unreadable. I'm siding with survival. Echo means submission. I won't be a slave to some mind I don't control. Mara stepped closer. And what about the rest of us? What about Ridgeway? Lawson's voice dropped. Ridgeway will fall if we don't take drastic measures. Marcus tightened his grip on his rifle. You're risking everyone for your fear. Lawson sneered. Sometimes fear is the only thing that keeps you alive. The camp was split, loyalists, believers in Echo, and Lawson's faction, ready to ignite rebellion. Mara knew that the next move would decide the fate of them all. The infected outside pressed closer, their coordinated assault relentless. The outpost was a powder keg, one spark away from explosion. In the shadows, whispers grew louder. Dead America's forgotten outposts weren't just battlegrounds against the undead. They were battlegrounds for the souls of those who refused to give up. To be continued. Let me know when you want the final Part 10. Part 10, The Last Stand. The sky was bruised with storm clouds, heavy and ominous as if the world itself mourned what was to come. Ridgeway's walls trembled beneath the relentless pounding of the infected, their new unity fueled by the strange power of Echo. Inside the command tent, Mara gathered what remained of the survivors, the loyal, the weary, the hopeful. Marcus stood beside her, his face hardened but resolute. We can't hold the walls forever, Mara said, voice steady despite the chaos outside. Lawson's faction has splintered the camp, but the real enemy is here, outside and within. Keller nodded grimly. We've lost communication with the outer outposts. If Ridgeway falls, so does the last hope for this region. Mara's eyes scanned the room. Then we fight. Not just for survival, but for the future. The door burst open. Lawson stormed in, flanked by a few hardened fighters. His eyes glinted with fury and desperation. "This ends now," he growled. "I won't let this infection enslave what's left of humanity." Marcus stepped forward. "Then fight alongside us or get out of the way." Lawson's hand hovered near his weapon, but something in Mara's voice held him back. "This is bigger than us," she said. "If we fight each other, we all die." For a tense moment, Lawson wavered. Then, slowly, he lowered his weapon. Outside, the infected reached the gates, the blue glow in their eyes pulsing like a heartbeat. Mara raised her rifle. Echo isn't just a curse. It's a chance to evolve, to survive together. Suddenly, a piercing howl shattered the night, a new sound, a command in the language of the infected. From the darkness came a figure, not fully infected but changed, half human, half echo. It was Kelsey's brother, once lost, now the new emissary. He stepped forward, voice steady but otherworldly. "We can end this. Join us, or fall with the old world." Mara faced the choice, surrender to the unknown or fight for fractured humanity. With a deep breath, she lowered her rifle. "We choose to live. Together." A ripple passed through the infected. The attack slowed, confusion spreading. Lawson looked at Mara, respect replacing hatred. Marcus exhaled. Maybe there's hope. As dawn broke over Ridgeway, the survivors and the changed formed an uneasy alliance, fragile, but real. Dead America's forgotten outposts were no longer just tombs of the past. They were the foundation of a new beginning. A testament to those who refused to give up. Would you like me to help with any image prompts or further story expansions?